Hi, the topic I'm going to discuss is participating in interagency teams and grant programs. I'm Stephen Thomson. I've been a national program leader for about 6.5 years. I was at Virginia Tech for 7 years as an associate professor and then USDA ARS before joining NIFA in 2016. Some of the areas I had been involved with are decision support for crop management, crop modeling, irrigation and nutrient management, electronic systems. I taught instrumentation and controls at Virginia Tech way back and was involved with agricultural safety, development of computer-based instructional modules, spray drift management, and applied statistics at USDA ARS. So let's get started. Okay, let's jump right into the interagency teams. Now, this NITRD, as we call it, this is in my area, advanced IT, data, high performance computing, and AI, essentially. And coordination between agencies is achieved through the interagency working groups. So each agency has a representative or two in the particular groups of interest. And these are a few of the ones I'm involved with. Now these, what we talk about as far as research needs and policy feed right into the National Science and Technology Council, which is an executive branch committee made up of cabinet secretaries and agency heads. And by the way, it is NITRD's 30th anniversary this year. There are other ways to get involved in interagency teams. Connect with the National Science Liaisons of NIFA. Sometimes requests for participation in higher level executive branch committees filter down. If you're in areas of interest to the administration, they will find you. And so I have been on some higher level committees in the past. The Office of the Chief Scientist, you all know that Dion Toombs came over as acting division director of NIFA. Richard Dirksen, who was a good friend, he and I used to work in the same research areas in ARS. He is now the acting director. And I want to single out one person, Paul Zenkowski, because he has been involved in many, shall I say, sub-liaisons and various other teams. And so he is involved, for example, in the USDA NASA joint meetings. And he is at the high level, you know, in the Office of Chief Scientist. There's also a NIFA multi-state committee with an interface to the USDA NASA group. And Paul is, you know, is a coordinator in that. So there are many interweaving teams and interest areas. Okay, let's go right into the grants. Now, I will talk a little bit about procedure later, but for now, let's just talk about enrichment opportunities. Okay, there are bidirectional benefits to collaborating with other agencies. For example, my collaborations are with NSF essentially only in the grants portion. And I want to point out something. David Corman, who is a program director at NSF, has indicated that NIFA is his favorite agency to work with because he can actually see tangible benefits of funded proposals. Many of the NSF programs are more basic or fundamental in their approach. We can use these collaborations to refine NIFA programs. Many of the programs that I work with there have some crossing with NIFA programs I work with. Of course, valuable networking and PI meetings, and also exposure to usable methodologies outside the field of agriculture. This has very good value in the AI or machine learning aspects. And it is fascinating. So how do you get your foot in the door? Well, in my case, I will admit I inherited a couple of these from Dan Schmolt, who was kind of my predecessor, although we overlapped 1 year. But then through networking with NSF program managers, you meet others. Things just balloon. They really do. Parag Chitnis came from NSF, and he was really valuable to me, leadership at NIFA who have connections. He still had contacts at NSF, and that was indispensable when I started. Now, one main thing I would suggest is to attend NSF PI meetings and panels. And your contact could be another NPL in NIFA who actually has an interagency collaboration already. So you can kind of see how it all works. Okay, first, process. A memorandum of understanding is necessary. Now, we happen to have one that covers all programs we might be interested in the computer science and engineering divisions. Now, the process is similar to the way NIFA does things. NSF, I'm using NSF as an example, obviously. NSF advertises a solicitation. We have written a NIFA-specific section in the solicitation. Some programs have deadlines, many have no deadlines, and that presents some interesting issues. All applications go to NSF and follow their submission rules. Now, NIFA sometimes needs to remind rotating NSF program leaders that NIFA has more flexibility for eligibility. Theirs may be academia only. We allow federal agencies to apply, for example, and I've had to be proactive and tell them, hey, you know, our portion of the NIFA specific section of the RFA indicates that, so please refer to it. Applications arrive at NSF and are sorted, essentially sorted into an agriculture panel. An ag panel is created. NSF chooses the panelists. The NIFA NPLs have a large role in selecting panelists. The last panel I was in, fully half of, a little more than half of my suggestions were on the panel, so I'm very happy about that. Proposals are matched to panelists, and panelists schedule 2 days usually. They don't, in my area, they don't typically like to have more than, say, 15 proposals per panel, whereas at NIFA we have like up to 60, you know. So it's a little different. The role of the NIFA NPL is to observe. The panel is conducted in a similar manner as a NIFA panel. The final categories roughly correspond to NIFA categories of outstanding, high priority, medium, et cetera. However, I would say that their competitive category would be a mixture of high priority and medium priority for NIFA. I will never fund a low competitive grant proposal. After panel, it is all NIFA, and grants are processed at NIFA. There are some special procedures. I won't get into those now because if you get into this, I'd be glad to show you how it works. Now, proposals can be funded by NIFA via collaborative panel or from outside the panel. The NSF publishes these Dear Colleague letters, which are essentially advertisements outside, but connected to the NSF solicitation. We developed one recently in cooperation with NSF, and these are approved by both agencies through policy. We can also fund via NSF-only panels that are in the same areas that involve agriculture, of course. So the NSF program leader will send occasionally send me proposals to look at that have already been paneled for funding consideration. Now, this depends, if the budget can handle it, but I have done this twice in the last 2 years. And here are a couple of proposals I have funded. The top one is, and you can see the importance here. The top one is a data science project, 1.7 million. The next one, and these are both through the Smart and Connected Communities program. The next one has some very similar aspects to a newly created program within NIFA, A1712, I believe, that deals with the impacts of cascading hazards in a very similar manner. Now, how can we fund these topics? Smart and Connected Communities is not an official collaboration with NIFA, that particular program. However, it is a subcomponent under one that is a collaborative program, Cyber Physical Systems. But that's how we can do it. So I am finished here, and thank you very much. This is my contact information, and I'd be glad to talk with anybody. Thank you.